Great. No, so Evan, I will come back to you shortly. And after Lumina has shared her thoughts, well, for all our audience, we're going to run a simple poll where you get to share with us what stood out for you in this conversation. Well, we will give some time for Lumina to share with us how the process has, how you are experiencing the process. Okay, Lumina. So your sharing is going to be a very will give our audience a very valuable learning resource or learning content to understand how this perspective shift, occurs for you. Yeah,
Mhm.
great. So it's clear that you have experienced quite a surprise for yourself, as the conversation gradually unfold. Yeah. So as you recall back, that past 20 minutes, as
Mhm.
you were connecting and talking, relating, responding. Can you share with us how is it like, you know, at behind your mind?
Mm. Interesting question. Yes, I constantly I had to think a lot. And I guess I had to, yeah, what was going on in my mind? A lot of searching for sure.
Wow.
With some of the questions. I found some of the questions really well difficult in a way that they sort of uncovered something that I did not necessarily want to admit. How is this impacting you? I mean, it's for some reason it was not very pleasant for me to talk about lack of consistency, but I think it was really important. So it was almost like my thought process was, I've come here to be fully open. Um, and I wouldn't want my coach to kind of second guess, like, is she saying everything? So I was just searching for whatever, and yeah, just sharing that with the coach. So I would describe it in a nutshell as sort of, a lot of searching, almost like opening drawers, like, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Ah, yes, that's where you are. And, uncovering that.
Wow, wow. Thanks for sharing with us. I was very intrigued when you say that this conversation make you think.
Hmm.
And you also mentioned a part of this thinking makes you search for something,
Mhm.
right? So can you tell us a little bit more about this way of thinking that, I mean, I presume you do a lot of thinking on a daily basis.
Too much, Ben, too much.
And how is this thinking that you have just experienced different from, the way you have been thinking?
I think when I think for myself, just my own thoughts, it's I guess, it's the same thoughts, the same neural pathways, shortcuts. It's like, I mean, honestly, as a human being, I guess I'll talk about myself in particular. I'm not very original. If you sit and think for yourself, you're probably thinking 95 to 99% of the same thoughts every day. This is, I am all or nothing. I am impatient. I am this. I can't drive. And you just, go on and on and on. I think this type of thinking made me look at things that were not necessarily connected and sort of connect them. And I guess this type of thinking was quite different because as I heard myself talk, I realized that I used a bit of imagery and metaphor, like, with the museum and stuff. That's not how I normally process. I'm quite analytical when I am just, thinking for myself. And I think here I was a bit more divergent in a way,
Oh,
actually much more divergent.
wow, great. Well, thank you so very much to, sharing with us such a personal experience around, how you are thinking. Okay,
Mm,
you are part of the students and you understand, the formula that we taught in the class that thinking influence the way you are learning.
mhm.
Now, with this first-hand experience yourself, what can you tell us, every one of us here, your understanding about this simple formula thinking influence learning, learning influence understanding?
I think the formula, at least to me, being, one of the core training students, I don't think the formula is simple. I think it's sort of deceptively, simply beautiful, but it's like seeing, obviously I couldn't, being fully a client, I was not trying to observe Evan as a coach, but I think the formula is simple, but what I guess is really hard is to uncover that thinking and to
Yeah.
see how the client thinks. And I really feel Evan as a coach, he really captured well how I think. I found some of his first bullets at the beginning. Some of the things he said, I know that I may have said it a bit differently, but it's almost like he captured my thinking better than my own words. Like when he said, you really appreciate the concept. That's, I
Wow.
am pretty sure that's not exactly, I mean, these are not the words that I used,
Yes.
but he did not. And that's where I feel, as a sort of low level course student, that's what I would like to aspire to. He did not capture my words. He did not say like, oh, you know that this is good and you would like to do the same. He really said, you have this appreciation for the concept. And I really felt like he gets how I'm thinking. I appreciate, admire the idea, but I don't live it. I don't embody it. And he said, embody, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I really feel like that's sort of the level where the formula becomes simple. And anything under that level, that's where the formula looks simple, but you can't quite unlock it. I mean, you're trying to, and I see that, we do that a lot in practical labs, in sessions. We're trying to unlock that thinking. We might unlock some tiny, tiny locks, but it's, yeah. See what I mean? Is it, am
Yes.
I confusing everybody?
No, I'm not sure. But it sounds very clear to me that, by simply following the structure, you, subject matter, and relationship to the subject matter, in your case, you appreciate the concept, makes
Mhm.
the shift for you in
Yes.
terms of you seeing how you are
Yeah.
relating to your own challenges.
Yeah. And that's exactly, now that you are reflecting that back, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Wow.
Like in class, Evan taught us the exact same formula. Use subject matter. Evan or Jacques or Joe, I don't remember who taught this particular one. Use subject matter. You relate to subject matter. But it's one thing to know the formula, and it's like when you manage in that moment to really capture that verb of how the client relates to the subject matter and give that 100% spot on. That's really powerful. I
Great,
It's
great.
really good
Thank
to,
you.
yeah.
And today, will you be able to share with every one of us here, based on your own personal experience, how the principles, you know, has has worked for you today?
That's a yes. I will try. How did they work for me? I guess going to the positive and possible.
Mm,
Um, I'm just thinking. I don't remember what questions Evan asked. I was really not. I was so in my. I guess yes. I guess if you think about that, it doesn't really matter what he asked. I'm just thinking about
yeah.
my thinking. Um, I came. Well, I don't know, not necessarily in the loss frame, but more like, oh well, that's the way I am. How do I live with it? It's almost like not even thinking about what's possible, but more like, how do we firefight this? And I guess I got more. Well, he observed the nature of my content, so I
Wow.
guess, and I observed the nature of my own content by Evan's
Wow.
reflections. And I guess I got more towards actually how, what's positive and possible for me in terms of living it.
Wow. Thank you so very much for sharing with us how he has shifted it for you. Now, if you can say a word to all our friends here who is aspiring coaches, with
Mhm.
your own personal experience right now as a coach, what would you like to be able to say to them? as a word of encouragement based on your personal experience of the framework?
Be like Evan. I don't know. Work hard. Now it's I think I have, if I were to think about all the wonderful coaching conversations, jokes aside, I've done a lot of practice with my classmates, and let's put it this way, we are currently at a very different level of skill. And what I am observing is that at whatever level you apply the framework, it offers a lot. Yes, I feel like I've talked to this issue to about this issue to a couple of people, but every time I unlocked something. So, I mean, with all due respect, Evan's skills are wonderful. And I really made, that's a major breakthrough. But I do feel that even at our current core level, we can still help our clients make sort of tiny breakthroughs. They may not be as powerful or as impressive, but I guess at that level of thinking, there is still a lot that can be achieved. And I think, if anything, this session has made me more hopeful that, yes, this is something to aspire for, but in terms of, techniques and understanding, it's not sort of radically different. It's more about, really, really, I guess, practicing and seeing, observing. So it's not like we at core level and Evan at his mastery, we do exactly the same. We observe the nature of the content. It's just he does it better. So I guess it gives us, it's not a secret. It's not something hidden from us. It's not some weird initiation that we'll have to go through. It's just doing it, just, living it until you believe it.
High five. Great. So let's invite everybody to the party right now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great. So I would like to invite everyone to join us right now for this wonderful dialogue session